Hello and welcome to round 17 of my Steps to Success career mode. We're here today for the Mexican Grand Prix at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Nailed that pronunciation, by the way. We have another tyre wear upgrade completed, and again an aero failing again on me. It's going to be sunny all the week round except from race day, which will be cloudy, but it'll be okay because it's similar tyre temperatures. We're at the bottom again, so clearly not doing very well on developments anymore. We're coming towards the end of the season, and we're just trying to wrap up the constructors win in 5th place. But we are only 1 point behind Racing Point, so you never know. We could be up there next Grand Prix, and it'll be good to see if we can get in the top 10 today. And yeah, that's basically it. Let's see what we can do in qualifying now. So here we are, round the qualifying lap at the Hermanos Rodriguez circuit here in Mexico City, and we're going down the front straight now. DRS wide open. We're in P7 at the moment, and we're going to go into turn 1, staying in P12. We're back down in P20, but we get some on the exit, and we also completely take off those curbs, and we're up into P6 actually. So a really good job from us there in the chicane, and now moving into the second chicane of the lap, which is really tight, and then into here, which you want to go as wide as possible and cut back and get nice on the track. And we're going to go back to the last sector and go around the final corner now. P7 at the moment, and it looks like we're just going to stay that way. Best of the rest.
Good work.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Bottas, Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
So Bottas gets P1, great job from him. Verstappen P2 with a really good performance from him too. Vettel P3, Leclerc P4, Albon P5, Lewis P6 with a bad result. We get P7 and our championship rival in P8, Perez, and our teammate gets last unfortunately, which is a bit disappointing. But we are gonna focus on the race, and let's hope that he can get up in the order, and let's see if we can gain a few positions on the top guys. So yeah, let's go into the race now.
The air may be thin here in Mexico City. The atmosphere is anything but. The crowd have been chanting and singing, not just this afternoon, but throughout the entire weekend. There's a great love for Formula One here, and no small amount of expectation. Let's hope today's Grand Prix can meet it. The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 2.6 miles of track that allows drivers to take full advantage of their cars, reaching speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and providing lots of opportunities for overtaking. The circuit features 17 corners, 10 to the right and the remaining 7 going to the left. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Now let's talk about Sergio Perez. As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Leclerc, Alexander Albon, and Hamilton, Stevens, Raikkonen, Hülkenberg, and Daniel Ricciardo. Norris, Sainz, Romain Grosjean, and Magnussen. Stroll, Kvyat, Pierre Gasly, and Sergio Perez. Giovinazzi and George Russell ends our grid lineup. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Excellent job yesterday. We qualified above expectations. Let's go out there and put in a performance.
So here we are for the Mexican Grand Prix, and we're looking pretty good. No grid penalties up ahead, but we are going to keep in P7. Let's try and get the jump on a few drivers. Maybe we can get past Albon on the start with the slower straight line speed. And looking at the qualifying session from today, no spoilers, or there is a spoiler coming, unfortunately. Bottas did a really good result, and I think Hamilton actually went through double yellows and he didn't slow down. Interesting to see what he got. Lando doing a really good job. Ferrari's very off the pace, and Vettel bad. That's all I can say. But we are going into the race now, and we've got 3 lights. We've got 4 lights. We've got 5 lights, and it's lights out, and away we go. We get a good initial start, and then we lose it on traction towards the end. But it seems like we got a decent start compared to the cars behind, and we're going to get an Albon slipstream. And we're going to try and keep round the outside, because that is where everyone's going to lose positions. And Verstappen having a really bad start, and he's all the way down in P5 at the moment after starting P2. And Albon getting a really scruffy exit out of there, so we have a really good chance of overtaking him. We're going to go round the outside. We're going to stay in the slipstreams of Verstappen, and we're going to brake later. And we're going to give him a little bit of a nudge to the apex, but we get past him, and it was a good overtake from us there. Now going through the awkward right-hander, and now going through the S section, which is probably the most difficult part. We actually lose it pretty early on, and getting understeer through every single one of these corners, and it's just losing out a lot of time to the cars ahead. So yeah, we're going to have to ditch them and try and defend from the cars behind. And actually Hulkenberg's got past Albon on the 4th lap of the Grand Prix, and it doesn't look like Hulkenberg's quite going to got the inside going into turn 1. And we do need to sort out the braking a little bit, because we're not quite committed to the braking zones completely. So we're going to have to try and brake later and brake harder into the apexes. And now seeing if Hulkenberg can get through. It doesn't look like he will. We just about brake late enough, and we're actually up on our time at the moment at a 19.1, but I guess we can go a lot quicker than that. Now into the awkward right-hander again, and seems like we've got it pretty nailed. We're settling down into the Grand Prix nicely. The guys ahead have obviously cleared off pretty much straight away, and now going into the end of the S's and now exiting the S's. We're going to move on to a the end of lap 4, moving on to lap 5, and we do improve on our lap. Just a 19 flat, so not bad. But Hulkenberg's right behind us. He's going to get in the slipstream. He's got DRS. He's going to go down the inside, and it looks like he's completely got the move done now. Luckily, we haven't lost a place to Albon quite yet. We brake later than him, and he's not going to quite appear on our inside. So we're quite getting him, and we hit Hulkenberg a lot there. And surprisingly, we do not get any front wing damage. And Hulkenberg gets DRS because there is only one detection point on this track, and we're going to try to go down the inside, but he's just not close enough. We're within 0.2 of Hulkenberg at the moment, and we need to hope that we can get past him sometime soon, but it doesn't look like we will this lap. So we're going to move on to lap 6, going through the S section, and look at the speed we've got on Hulkenberg. We're going to have enough speed to go down the inside into the 3rd sector, and we push him wide, and we do go completely off track. But yeah, we get the move done, and we're up into P6 once again, best of the rest. And Albon just falling behind us in the pack, so clearly not carrying his Red Bull's performance into the race. And going down the front straight now, Hulkenberg will get DRS again, but we've just about got enough ERS to defend from him. In fact, we do need to turn it down a little bit, because look how low the ERS situation is, and he's not going to catch up to us down this straight. And I believe, yeah, we're going to shift it down to none, and then going through the chicane, we're just about going to have enough power and cutting the corner enough to get a good enough exit out of the corner. And we've got out of there pretty nicely. And now we're going to move on to lap 8, where we are going to go into the pits this lap, going through the stadium section. And it seems like we got the stadium section pretty nailed. And we're going to go into the pit lane now and hit the bollard on the inside. We just slow down enough by about 20 miles per hour. So a pretty weak in entry, but it looks like we might just be able to come ahead of the drivers. And we need to try and stay ahead of Hulkenberg. And we have a really good pit stop from the boys there. Another 1.8 second pit stop, and we've got this pit stop on Fleek now. And we're going to come out way ahead of Hulkenberg. And the pit strategy is complete, so no more pitting for us today, and yeah, seems like we've got this pretty nailed and we're doing a good job so far. And now we are now halfway through the race actually, so it's gone surprisingly quick. Also, not much of it has really happened, so we can skip out quite a lot of this Grand Prix, and we're going to move on to lap 10 in a minute, because we want to see how many people we jump. And here we go. We coming through the third sector now, and there is a yellow flag up ahead. Kevin Magnussen's out of the Grand Prix, and that's going to bring out a virtual safety car in third sector, and these people in the pit lanes are going to gain a lot of time on me. Teammates in the pits, everyone's going to be in the pits, I think, and going through the third sector, we don't want to speed, so we're going to keep the ERS situation low down. We're going to have to let off a little bit, and going down the front straight now, and as you can see, Perez is coming out of the pit lane, and he's going to come out ahead of us. So amazingly, Perez has made the overcut work from benefiting on the VSC, but luckily we got a little bit in our delta that we might just be able to go side by side with Perez, and we hit him as he's literally sailing around the apex, and he's going very low miles per hour there, and we're gonna have to try and go side by side with him as the VSC ends. We were to go down the inside, but it doesn't look like we're gonna quite get it. Virtual safety car is now ending, and we need to try and overtake him. We're going to go side by side into the awkward right-hander, and we go down the inside on the end of the virtual safety car, and we do a great job of getting the inside, and we get the move done, and that's us back up into a provisional P6, and that is a great job from the boys. Otherwise, at 1.8 second pit stop might have been a bit of a disaster, but this is it really. We come home in P6 lap after lap after lap, and we're going to eventually finish in P6, as we're now going to move on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. And yeah, 13 seconds is the gap to Vettel, and it's not quite good enough. I was expecting a little bit less of a gap, because we are improving every time. I know we're the weakest car, but we're really not that far behind the fourth place car of, I believe, Racing Point, which they did a fantastic job along with McLaren in the qualifying session. And we're going to move on to the end of lap 18, the final lap. Valtteri Bottas, after having car troubles midway through the Grand Prix, eventually comes home in first place, so great job from him, and a good job for him in the qualifying session. And now we're going to come around the final corner, and we're going to get the tail very whistly. It's P6.
And Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes. Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. After today's performance, Valtteri Bottas secures the championship lead. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Well, you can't fault anything that Sergio Perez did out on the track today. He drove flawlessly, making him an easy pick.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Another team that excelled today was Williams, who make further progress up the table. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
So, Valtteri Bottas gets P1, great job from him. Hamilton P2, Verstappen P3, Leclerc P4, and Vettel P5. We get P6, Albon P7, Hulkenberg P8, Perez P9, and Raikkonen in his Haas gets P10. George Russell doing a really good job from the back of the grid to get P14 in the end of there. And we're going to look at the standings now, any second now. Kevin Magnussen, obviously the only non-finisher. Valtteri Bottas takes the lead of the championship, as you may have heard from Crofty. And Hamilton loses the lead after, I think, keeping it since round 1, I believe, or a couple of the early rounds. Vettel P3, Leclerc P4, and Verstappen P5. We are still in P7, and we've overtaken Racing Point once again for 4th place. And if you guys did enjoy today's episode, please press the like button, subscribe if you're new, keep up for daily content, and keep out for the F1 2020 content. And yeah, hope to see you guys soon, and goodbye.